welcome everyone to today's Pop Talk. And one of my favorite things is making new friends, right?
I'll vouch for that.
And and I love making friends on Facebook. And actually,
I'll vouch for that too.
okay, thank you. And I really love, especially now that we are part of the cannabis community, I especially love sending friend requests to people that are involved in this space in one way or another, whether it affect their lives personally, professionally, socially, medically.
And usually everybody covers all of those bases.
Right. So when I found our guest today, I was excited. We actually have 63 mutual friends. And I'm not surprised. And I actually know.
Does a little bell go off when you are above 50 mutual friends?
No.
Okay.
But when I met our guest, what I think is really cool is it makes our country, our world, a little bit smaller. And when you meet people from other states in this country, like our next guest, we're as different as we are, is as much as we are alike. So I'm excited.
And people should be fully aware of the time zones. It's just an inside joke for me.
So well, the thing is we are here in New Jersey, and our guest is coming to you from Texas. Actually, we would like you to meet Anita. Anita is known as the CBD Genie. She actually celebrated a birthday last week, and that's how we connected, right? Because I acknowledged and celebrated you and your birthday, and it just got me to thinking, the power of story. I really wanted Anita to come on once I started to look at her website.
I got excited that I was going to have 3 wishes. I've been thinking all week about what my 3 wishes are going to be. So we'll get to that later.
Okay. Well, your wishes, I think, are going to come true, because I think Anita's going to be able to share information, which is part of what we are on a mission to do, right? And helping people be happy and healthy and pain-free, right, Robert? So Anita is born and raised
without putting themselves in danger.
Oh, right. That's right. So Anita is born and raised in Texas, and she's coming to you today from Texas. She is an advocate. She is a cannabis science communicator. She spent 8.5 years in the Air Force.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
11 years as a medical professional, currently diagnosing infectious diseases in the microbiology department in the clinical lab. And but most importantly, she is a patient of cannabis with a story, with her own personal testimony. And she said, I'm going to quote Anita as she has shared on her website. She said, if it weren't for cannabis and everyone who brought this alternative to her, she wouldn't be living the life she lives today. So that was powerful, Robert, to me. And I would like Anita now to share her story from her, what I learned to be her chronic pain, to this amazing healing plant we love called cannabis.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for having me. I am honored to be here and tell my story. My career, my education, my unfortunate medical history has literally set this stage for me. I am, like you said, an Air Force veteran. I am a service-connected disabled veteran due to the ulcerative colitis that I was diagnosed with. And the way before cannabis, I did everything, quote unquote, the right way. The Veterans Affairs started me off with an IV treatment. That's how I got started in treating my ailments. It was basically like chemo, where I went and sat in a chair for like 3 hours every 4 to 6 weeks. did that for over 2 years. Until my body just started to reject it, right? I turned into a human strawberry is what I like to call it. Just rashes everywhere. After that, they had me on the steroids, the opiates, the antibiotics. I did that for 10 years, just in and out of the hospital.
Did anything help? Any of that?
It may have put me in remission for a little bit, but the side effects just didn't outweigh the pros, right?
And it all had, and everything had side effects, right? There was nothing.
All of it has side effects. As a matter of fact, when I first walked into the hospital, whenever I'd have my first class trip to the ER before I would get administered, the thing is when they're giving you steroids, that's a glucocorticoid. So now, on top of them trying to take care of my inflammation, now the steroids have caused me to have an increase in my blood sugar. So now they have to come in and prick my finger and check me because the medication that they're giving me is such a high dose that it's throwing my biochemistry off and I'm no longer at homeostasis. On top of that, the antibiotics, you are more microbes than you are human cells. When you take antibiotics, it's like a nuclear bomb to the body. It's wiping out everything, the bad bacteria, but also your normal flora, your good bacteria. So when I got my blood sugar's off, my normal flora's off, the opiates, of course, I understand the opiate epidemic personally. When you're experiencing a pain that you've never felt before, and with ulcerative colitis, let me tell you, it's like digesting glass. The symptoms include, let me just start off with dysentery, high fevers, lower chronic abdominal pains. When you're feeling that, you're going to take the opiates because your body is literally just falling apart on the inside.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
Yeah, it was awful.
And anyone who's ever experienced pain, the only thing you can think of at that time is getting rid of that pain.
Pain relief.
Nothing else matters. Nothing else matters.
That's right. So after 10 years of that show, the shit show, pun intended.
Yeah.
I did my due diligence and I traveled all over the country, walkthroughs of farms and labs and dispensaries, and attended conferences like Cannabis Science Conference, like Jay Canna, Josh. I want to give him a shout out because going out to Oregon and learning from MDs, PhDs, learning the analytical diagnostics, the science behind it all, I was like, wow, this is networking. It was amazing. Yeah. And however, when I ended up at Vegas, I was attending MJ BizCon, the Marijuana Business Conference, and I started to have symptoms of a flare-up. So I was like, no. I actually have a picture on Instagram. If you go to CBD Genie, it's a picture with me and Dr. Sue Sisley. And in that picture, I'm at MJ BizCon. And you would never know it, but I am so sick. But I'm so good at faking it, just because I didn't want anyone to know what I was going through. It's not a topic of conversation that you want to have with anybody, and you're constantly going to the restroom. It changes everything, your personal life, your work life. I mean, everything just it takes control of you. I became a slave to my bowels. I was a slave to my bowels. And so while I was there, someone suggested, you know what you should do? You should try a cannabis suppository.
Wow.
Mind blown. So, when people talk about, oh, you just want to smoke or you just want to get high, and no. So that's I tried this cannabis suppository, and for the first time in my life, I dodged the hospital. So that was not only the transformation of my weakness becoming my strength, it was just something that I'm happy that happened when it happened, so that I can share this with others, because my why is personal. I dodge the hospital, and more people need to know about these things. I lost both of my parents to cancer 10 months apart from each other.
Right.
I'm sorry.
I didn't know what I know today. I wish I did, but I didn't.
Well, you know, it's amazing because, right, they talk about, well, we need more studies, right? We need more studies to make sure this is real, that this
Right.
isn't magic happening here, right? And then you hear a story like that, right? That nothing else changed. We know, right, what gave you relief. It wasn't like, oh, you had the suppository, but you also drank this other magical potion in addition, so it had to be that, right? That's what you did, and that's how you found relief. So what are we supposed to do with that, right? Are we supposed to look away and say, well, that wasn't a double-blind study with 300 people, whatever they want to say, right?
Right. And it's been used for thousands of years. This is not anything new.
But what is not thousands of years old, Anita, is the ECS, the endocannabinoid system. Okay.
Right.
Yes, it was
Or the discovery
the
of it.
discovery of it. So here it is, right? The late 80s, early 90s, right? So from that suppository, right, which was your first experience with cannabis, right, that helped you not go to the hospital. Okay.
Right.
So, bridge the gap, connect the dots from
Like,
that.
why did that work? Why, like, what happened? What's the science?
Right. So let me ask you all this. I love to ask people this. Are you thinking about breathing right now?
No.
Probably not until I just asked that question. So we have to understand the power of our systems. They're in control of life sustaining, like, involuntary functions, right? So we can thank our central nervous system, our respiratory system. We don't have to think about those things. So we also need to understand the endocannabinoid system, which just is another system that helps regulate balance. The fancy pants word is homeostasis. Because when your body's off balance, unfortunately, you're dealing with some type of ailment, some type of disease or infection. So in order to keep yourself at balance, all the systems of the body work together. You wouldn't be much if you were just a muscular system, right? So the other system that I was never taught, ever, is the endocannabinoid system. And it is just another biological system that helps regulate that balance. How? Via receptors, CB1 and CB2 receptors, right? And these are found throughout the body, right? Your CB1 receptors are predominantly found on the central nervous system. But okay, so what happens with these receptors? Like, what binds to these receptors? We have endocannabinoids, anandamide and 2-AG, arachidonoglycerol, but 2-AG is easier to say. So and I always share this story, the facts about anandamide. Ananda is Sanskrit for bliss. So we have our own bliss neurotransmitter already working within us, right? And also, anandamide is also found in chocolate. Fun fact. So
I love that.
That's what
I love what you just said.
yes.
I was thinking.
So,
Chocolate and bliss.
yes. So these are already happening within our bodies. Phytocannabinoids are so endo meaning internal, endogenous or within, phyto meaning plant. So phytocannabinoids are your THC, your CBD, CBG, CBN, CBC, CBL, there's so many. And it depends on what stage the flower is in. If it's raw, if it's decarboxylated, is it aged, right? So we already have the endocannabinoids working with our CB1 and CB2 receptors, but we can also introduce phytocannabinoids. We can introduce nature that mimic those exact same receptors that can also bring us to homeostasis. And that's the beauty of it, because every single synthetic drug out there is a replica of nature.
Okay.
Wow, that was
Powerful.
very, very powerful. So,
Thank you.
now as a, Robert?
Yeah, you know,
right? I mean, the
as a
fact that
veteran,
right.
we, you know, there's a lot about cannabis and military vets, both in, you know, how it can benefit, right? Especially, you know, we hear, you know, one thing associated with our military vets, you know, in that PTSD, right? It's been, you know, proven time and time again that cannabis can help that. But there's something underlying here that it's not making this click for vets. So why don't you touch a little bit on what's happening, what the current state of affairs are regarding our vets and cannabis?
Right. So I'm actually a part of an organization called Texas Veterans for Medical Marijuana here in Austin, Texas. And it's true that we did our time and we served this country. The fact that we don't have the choice, the access to do what we want with our bodies for wellness is ridiculous.
Yeah.
I even hate to classify just veterans versus a civilian because we're all patients, right? But however, we did sacrifice a little extra. For those 8.5 years, I wasn't with my family.
Right.
So there was a huge sacrifice there. And so I would love to have that option and not be considered a criminal. I'm not a criminal. I just want to use nature for wellness.
Right.
So during the legislative session here in Austin, Texas, just finished, we did our part. We walked through the Capitol before it was up, before the before the legislative session was over, and we walked through to the Health and Human Service Committee. And we went to all the offices trying to educate them, sharing our testimonies, letting them know, like, hey, we deserve this access. And let me explain to you why. I even testified on behalf of House Bill 1360, which basically just authorizes the grow, the cultivation, the lab, the dispensing, basically the whole nine, which clearly did not pass. But as veterans, I stand with them. I stand with everyone. These are my family. These are my brothers and sisters, and we should have access. And it's sad because the suicide rate is high, the PTSD, and it's not just PTSD. My service-connected disabled condition is not PTSD, but you know, just the stress, the anxiety, all the other ailments that I could literally list on and on.
Right.
We too deserve the access.
Yeah, and the docs they're happy to write their prescriptions for the Xanax and you know all the the Oxy, and they're happy to keep writing though. They get right. It comes in pads.
Oh yeah, they will prescribe those all day long, and unfortunately, you can overdose and die with those. You can travel with your prescription.
Right.
And it's silly because the access for that is they're handing it out like candy.
Yeah, and what's crazy, and this is really kind of blowing up here locally, is right now. I think today or yesterday was an event that was going on that they were giving out free Narcan. So you could go and get Narcan in case someone in your family ODs or you OD or your neighbor or something for free. They were giving it out.
That's
insane.
And that's not eye-opening, or that doesn't help bring a new sense of awareness. I mean, I don't really, it's hard because like the alcohol, tobacco literally tells you on the package that you will die. The ingredients are all toxic.
Yeah.
And all you got to be is 18 years old to legally buy those.
Yeah.
No, it's just having a new sense of awareness and basically taking it back to the basics.
Well, I think that it is about being relatable. It's about being relevant. I am hoping that I don't know how much longer it's going to take, but I'm hoping that we see prohibition ending soon, medically, most importantly, then for there to be whatever policy that happens around adult use. We believe in democracy. We believe in choice. Everyone deserves to have the medicine of their choice.
And this and to that end, right? And I'm sure you'll agree, this is not the solution for everybody. This
that's correct.
about. This is the magic bullet, right? This is just another option.
Right. I'm so glad you said that. I'm so glad you said that, because you know what? Everyone responds differently. I could sit here and eat a Snickers bar right in front of you during this live, and yet someone who could be sitting next to me could die from having a peanut because they respond differently. Same thing with penicillin, any derivative of it. Some people cannot take that, and that is an antibiotic that, oh my goodness, that's been used for decades, right? So
yeah, sure.
It just depends on how your body responds. I mean, here living in Austin, people have allergic reactions, just can't even handle the allergies here. I'm good, but not everyone's the same. So it's just another option. I'm so glad you said that.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, so the last question I want to ask today, because this has been just so enlightening, again, hearing personal story and somebody who's involved in the science of it and wanting to educate, what would you say to someone fearful of considering cannabis as medicine?
Oh man. First, I will lead, it's the right thing to do, because one, like we mentioned earlier, it's been used for thousands of years. But if you need black and white, yes, the patent has expired, like patents do, but patent 6630507, the government literally states that it's an antioxidant, it's a neuroprotectant. It uses words like treatment, prophylaxis. It talks about how it's beneficial and has medicinal properties. So if you need black and white, there it is. And it even references I can't remember the patent off the top of my head. I believe it's 2304669, if I'm correct. And that one was actually done in 1942. So that's 1940 is when CBD was isolated. So this is not new when it comes to the government. So if you need to see that, well, you can look it up, and that's there.
Right, there's the proof.
Also, Marinol is the synthetic replica of THC, and that's been FDA approved since 1985. Marinol is a drug that is given to chemo patients. People need to also understand that Epidiolex was, I think it was last year, June of last year, that one is actually the cannabis-derived CBD pure form.
Right.
That's being used. So
yeah,
how can it, you have to understand to have the new sense of awareness, educate yourself, do your due diligence. Notice that over 30, how many states have already gone, have access now, right?
33, I think.
33, right?
I think it's 33.
All the states that border Texas have access, and we don't. I'm actually like Oklahoma. How did Oklahoma beat us?
yeah, and you know what? If the states that are taking a hard line against it don't think that that's affecting people's choices of where they choose to live, they are sadly mistaken. Because people are, and it's been proven. We did a presentation just the other day where we talked about that it's proven that home sales increase, right? Property values increase in states where both medicinally and recreationally it's more acceptable.
But you are able to get CBD, right? You are able to get CBD.
Am I able to get that?
Yeah, what's Texas like?
So here in Texas, CBD has actually been sold in stores for a few years. I probably want to say like 4. But here's the thing. They're in like, Planet K's and places where a lot of people don't think to go, you know, to find, you know, help with wellness. That's not where you're going to think, oh, let me go hit up Planet K and see what I can get to take care of this ailment.
Yeah.
Not to mention, since we don't have, well, now we're barely moving in the process that you can grow hemp here in Texas. That passed. So the hemp bill. So it's just that we don't have, there's no real regulation, and you don't really know what you're taking, and it's kind of just like you're just trusting.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah. Now more than ever, you need to know where that's all coming from, because there's such an abundance of it.
Well, again, we care when we're talking to the brands that have been at our events and part of our programming, that we really care about it from farm to body. We care about it for every ingredient. We care about it to being, you know, natural. And what is the source? You know, we understand it's not FDA approved. We understand it's a supplement. It's like you said with the receptors, it's adaptogenic. You know, it's not.
But Twinkies are okay.
Well, yeah.
Oh my goodness. Caffeine, sugar, really?
Yodels, no problem. Yodels are good.
So.
Just go ahead and keep on buying them, apparently, right? That's the silliest part to me, and that's the part that that's why I always say new sense of awareness, pursuit of balance, because everything is about balance. You know, that's where we just need to strive.
Mind, body, and spirit.
Yeah. And through people like you and what you do, you know, we're all on a mission to educate, and the more people that are exposed to the right information from the right people and hear the other side. And Joan, you know, we you know, last month took it upon ourselves to start the conversation here locally in our own township where we are, because we wanted to control the dialogue, right? Yeah. We didn't want the town meeting to be in reaction to, oh my gosh, they want to start a dispensary here in town. What are we going to do?
Right.
You know, so we wanted to start the conversation and be proactive instead of reactive, because we've seen that happen here.
And we're hearing stories like yours. And this is why I would like the gap not only be closed within, you know, local, state, and one of the big reasons I really wanted you on today is not only because of your purpose, but also because you are in Texas. And I think that I want this country to understand that this is beneficial for health and wellness and fitness and self-care. So the thing is that everybody, you know, parents need to understand it better. It is about education. This is the common denominator for all people to understand. We see the commercials on every day about pharmaceuticals and every side effect under the sun.
Oh my God.
we shared a fact, you know, that no one has ever died from a cannabis overdose. And we've yet to been challenged for someone, except, someone told us that the only way someone died is when, you know, like 100-pound bag fell on their head.
Right, yeah.
Something like that. But the
most that will happen is you'll take a nice long nap, and honestly, when your body needs to repair, there's nothing wrong and nothing better than sleep and rest, because that's what your body needs to do.
Absolutely.
And you need to listen to your bodies. You know, it's a very important thing. People need to be in tune, you know, and sometimes you need to just stop. So, and take care of yourself. It is about self-care. It is about self-love.
And it doesn't have to come through a pharmaceutical.
That's what I learned with cannabis and learning it all, because when you start from seed, the whole cultivation part, you got to think about, if you want a high potency, a high yield of your cannabinoids and terpenes, you got to ensure you have good nutrients. The pH of the water needs to be good, the sunlight, the room to grow. But doesn't that sound familiar? If you too want to be healthy, give yourself nutritional value. Drink plenty of water. 70% of your cells are water. Sunlight, get outside, room to grow. That could be mind, body, soul. Like, we just need to use Mother Nature, take it back to the basics.
Well, she is definitely, you are a kind soul.
Oh,
And
thank you. I'll give you a hug if I
well,
can.
no, you are a warrior. And let me just tell you something about the hug. This is how we are going to change. We are going from the handshake, right, Robert? This is corporate America. Okay.
Yeah,
The
right.
cannabis community is about the hug. So we are hugging you too. Okay. We are grateful for you to share today. We are, you know, goodness, every
And I'm grateful.
every story.
And anybody watching, just look for the links below. We'll have.
So,
You
so
can
you
just
can
click.
learn more about how to follow the CBD Genie. So,
Yay.
all right, great. And if you have any questions, feel free to put, to please share them
In the comments.
in the comments,
Yeah.
and we will. We're going to be here to answer them. So,
That's right.
thank you so much.
Thanks for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.